Hi everybody, it's Oscar. I just want to talk about the programming language and how does it work and what is the step that you have probably to take to learn the programming language. The basic knowledge of all the programming language is actually, I would describe it in just maybe half an hour. So stay with me. First of all, what I want to do here is this is the binary and the value that you are going to see it on the screen. So if what I want to try to say that uh, in case that when you press 0 on your keyboard, it's going to be translated to this one on the binary. And the decimal value of that one is 48. It means that we have about 256 or 255 keyboards, not the only keyboards, but the sign on the keyboards just been translated to 0 and 1. Because as base of you know, everything that you type, translate or change to 0 and 1. Let me give you one example because we are going to, you see this one. See, this is number 72 and is H, and the value on the, when it's changing, when you press H on the capital letter, it will be translated to 0, 100 and 1000. Basically, all of the programming language has been changed for a long time. From the time that I remember, from the Pascal, they were Fortran and Basic and Assembly, and after that becomes C, C++, which was very familiar with, Ruby. I have a list of all of the when they came to the market and who were who were the developer of that person. Here it is, language name, we have the assembly, then came the Fortran, then came COBOL, Lisp came the Basic, Pascal, and one after each other. And again, we have C, C Object, C++, Pro, Python, Visual Basic, and we have rows, we have C Sharp here, we have PHP, we have Ruby, JavaScript that and again C Sharp we have to have it. And then we have Go that was developed by Google and Swift by Apple, they developed it. But mostly, Apple used to use C and C++ and Object-C for all of the software they want to develop it. So this is how when you press a number, A between, for example, here it is the A of capital A, which will be translated to 0, 100, 0, 0, 1. And then if you come to A, that's lowercase 97, and become 0, 1, 1, 0, 100. So the 256, I will explain how does it work and how you are able to change any number or any key that you have it. For example, if the Z here, the number is 127, how you can find this 122 to binary code. And again, you have all the, left bracelet, you have vertical colon, right bracelet, you have delete colon, you have a space. So when you press a space by itself will translate to, let me see if I can find here the space, it will translate to 0, 1. So that is something that you should know. And if it's, for example, delete, you do it, same thing. It's going to be translated to certain thing. What I try to do here, for example, let me show you one simple thing for coding. If you decided to write just only hello on computer languages, just only in any language that you want to write it, the hello will transfer to something to 0, 1. And this is how it's going to be translated. Let me show you. Here it is. should be translated to 0, that is H, 0, 100, 1000. So if we go back to H, you know that is H, E, L, L. So the L, or both of them, they are 0, 1, 1. Of course, when you write it to any languages right now here, for example, in Python, if you write it, this Python, the hello world will change to the same thing. If you write it to Ruby, it's going to be, all of them, they are going to change it to 0, 1, same thing. But if you notice it here, for example, Python, the pseudocode for Python is right, print and hello world. Here I say goodbye, but it's a hello world that's going to be that. If you write it in Ruby, is a put hello world. Is much more easier. So this guy is going to change to digital. All of them is going to be changed to same thing that you hear. There is a process that change from each language to binary, which we call it compile or compiler. So each language, they have their own compiler, and each language, they have their own syntax. Here again, we have on PHP for writing, or on the screen, say echo hello world. On the Ruby, say put hello world. On Python actually is whatever almost is English type thing. Whatever that you try to print T, and it's going to say hello world. Here is here's a goodbye word. This is how it's processed. We write source code, and each language, for example here PHP, that we have it, we write based on the syntax of the PHP, and then from here what we write, this compiler, the PHP compiler, change here to binary, the hello world, and then machine or CPU is going to be processed that one. The high level language is making the life much more easier to do it, and it's right as a English version. However, that we talked, same thing. So, for example, if you want to write if statement, if you want to write that one in machine language, it's going to be much more hard. It's machine language, which is based on 0 and 1, and actually depends to each processor. Each processor, they have their own. So if you write a machine language, and you should know about that processor, how many registers they have, and each register, and how many bits they are. For example, in this processor, in this machine language, the first, it has the first 6 bits, it takes opcode. And this next 5, this is 32 bits, so that is 5, 5, 5, and the last one. The next one is the register, first register, source register, and this one. So it means that if you say that add A, B, C, so this is going to be the first one. In which register? First register, second register, where you want to add it, and how it's going to be that is much more difficult to do it on machine language. Then after the machine language become assembly language. Assembly language much more easier. Instead, for example, write 001, they substitute that one to add. So when you write it assembly and write add 1 to 2, assembly language change add to this digit, and 1, whatever that is going to be on the binary number, we have to go to binary number, or I can change the binary number, but here the number 1 or the digit number 1 is going to be 0011001, and the decimal number of that one is 49, which I explained how you are able to change. If you know what is this decimal number for 1, you'll be able to much more harder than today's languages, the high level language that we are. See, in assembly language we say that load X, then we say load Y, say load to Z, and we store it. std means store it all to D. In modern language, just we write D, this is a variable, and add X, Y, Z. Much more easier instead we do it low. In assembly language, everything here it is. If you say add, let me give you an example. Here is sub. So the sub, what does it do? Here I said subs are R1, R1, R2, and then what is going to be that? Here is going to add, is going to subtract register 2, whatever number that we loaded on register 2, from register 1 and is stored in register 1. So subtract register 2, what number we have on register 2, from register 1 and store it on register 1. That is how it works. There is a multiplication, again same thing, we have to put it which register they are, or add, or division. We say that, okay, divide, for example, the value of 2 to value of 1 and stored in the value of 1. Same thing, we have jump, which is, like an if statement, loop statement, we have it, or to the section. So let's go back and show you what you have to really learn in today's language. I give you a brief again. Here it is. Many years ago, not that long time ago, probably, I was in a school 1984, and before that one, mine was this, they call it, punch card. So programmers write a program, and they sit and they punch the 0 and 1. Actually, as you see that we have 0 and 1 in all the 4 sections, and we see. I have not done it, but I have done it, for example, assembly language and Pascal or those ones before the C comes. And assume that if right now they write to 100 line, they have to punch about 100 of this code to be able. And it takes long time to compile it and return the problem to you. So after it comes the assembly language and the rest of that. Let me show you these 2 parts, and just those are for information. I'm not pretty sure it's going to work, but at least you have some idea how it's going to be working. Okay. For example, the 97, as you know, the ASCII code was that is how they started. They assigned it. They came. Standard for American Standard Code of Information. So this organization came and said, okay, we are going to give, if there is no value, we call it null, and we give it 0, 0, 0. And the binary of that one is all of them 0. So if somebody wants to write is nothing, so all of the value is going to be 0. And if somebody wants to write it, for example, delete, if somebody hit the delete, we are going to do that. Let me go to delete. Delete is going to be 127, and the binary of that one is. How we are going to find it was the binary number of the thing. Let me show you how we are going to do it. If, for example, I have A, which is 97 description, if I have A and they give me 97, and I want to know that what is the binary number for 97, what I'm going to do, because this is base 2, I'm going to divide 97 by 2, and whatever the remainder, I will write it here. So the quotation of that one is 48. Again, I will go divide 48 by 2. What is the remainder? Is 0. I write it. I push each one side, so everything is going to be to the left-hand side. Every time we divide it with remainder. Then 24 divide by 2, 12. There is no remainder, 0. Push to the left. Here it is. Again, we bring 12 divided by 2 becomes 6. 6, there is no remainder. 0, push it that side. And again, after that, 6 by 2 is 3. there is no reminder. 0, then push 1 back here. 3 divided by 2 is 1, reminder is 1, push it right here to the left. 1 divided by 2 again, there's no 1, there no 2 in 1, so 0, and the reminder is 1. If we do it, 0 becomes reminder 1. 1 is here. So the binary of the A, which is 97, is 0, 1, 1, and if you go to the chart, exactly is 0, 1, 1, 4, 0, 1. If I go to the A97, here's 0, 1, 1, 0, that is A. So we are able to do this one by changing. So is base 2, we divided by 2 until we get the answer. Now, if I have, for example, this same binary, and I want to know that what is this binary stands for, what letter it is. Actually, that is one way that they are able, the hacker are able to simply say that, because everything is by 0, 1, and all of them, they have, a stand for a letter or a symbol on your keyboard. They are able to do that. If I do that one, so what I'm going to do that, this one, if I started from here to go, all of them, they are from, this is going to be power 2. The next one from right hand side is power 1. Next one, power 2, power 3, power 4, power 5, power 6, power 7. So, and then what we are going to do is say, this is 0, 0 multiplied by 2, all of them by base 2, power 7 multiplied becomes 0, then plus, we are having 1. 1 times 2 again base 2, the next one is power 6, is 64. The next one, again we have 1. 1 times 2 power 5 is 32. So, and the next one is all 0. Comes to the last one is 1. 1, 2 power 0 is 1, times 1 is 1. So if we add all of them, become 97. The ASCII is 97. The description, what is it? Is A. So we are able to change, if we have the binary number, we are able to find out which character is it, or if we have the decimal, we are able to know that what is the binary for it. This, as I said, is information that should probably know before you start the programming, how does it work, okay? And how you come to learn, for example, any high-level language, and what is need to learn high-level language. Try to make it that it's very easy for programmer that be able to write the code with simple English language and be able to, make it much more easier. And they forgot about whatever is going to happen to, back off how they compile it, what is going to happen. They say forget about that one. So what we are going to do, make it much more easier for the programmer. The programming that you want to do is sequential. Means each code is going to be executed as you write, one after each other. Unless we have condition that we put, if that condition doesn't match, go to the next 5, 6, 7, wherever that the code should be do that. But each code that we write it, execute one line by the next one. So the previous first we have to, for example, here, this first line is going to be executed, then come to the next one, then come to the next one. So that is a sequence that we have to know about programming language. So if you write one thing, you have to make sure that's going to work. One thing that if you start to write programming language, you have to know the pseudocode. What does it mean, pseudocode? Pseudocode means that you write in simple English that what is that you have to do step by step and write it. For example, if they give you, a project, or you have a project that get information from the people, their name and their, I don't know, phone number and their email. So what we are to have, what we have to write, for example, get the user email address, get the user phone number, get the user email address. Then each one we get it, we can rewrite it. If the phone number is not right, if it's not from 0 to 1 or 0 to 9 number, go back to ask the user, okay, this number is not right, and the number that you have to enter should be from 0 to 1. So that is pseudocode. Means write on a simple English. Before you write the program, you have to write it in simple word that what you have to, what the person do. So actually here, this is, readability description, what the programming algorithm must do. Is like the English version of the language. Here, I get the example, you want to check the inventory. Okay, so somebody comes and says, I want to check the inventory. How does it do? So as a programmer, I have to write the inventory so that check the inventory. If the inventory, I assign it, if the inventory, for example, here become less than 5, you have to notify the manager the inventory is less than 5. So I said, if the inventory is less than 5 items, then let the manager know by sending a notification on his screen, or let the distributor, so the manager is going to let the distributor center know, okay, we need for this date this product. Else, if there is enough, so what we have to do is we have to say that this many product is available. That is going to happen. So when we write this pseudocode, then it's much more easier for us to write the program. Describe on a piece of paper when we started, and if there is a condition that we have to do it, if the condition is right, we go one direction. If our condition is wrong, we go the other direction. And if they met what we have to do, that's a flow chart that's going. Are they going to use it these days? No, unless it's scientifically they have to use it, that's going to be done. The most important thing that you have to know is syntax, and something that you should know it. The syntax of each language is different. Each language, they have different type of syntax. I wrote just only few of them. I wrote, for example, for syntax for C++, just only for for loops. Here it is. For for loops, the syntax of the C in C++, if you write it, say for, say initial for Z, initial I. This I initiation of the start, and that is variable I, which I set it which I set it from 0, can set it from 5. For example, start from 5 and go to 10, 20, whatever. This condition can be less, more, whichever condition you put. Then based on the how. The for loops is keep doing that one as far as the condition comes true. So the condition, if the condition you say should be less, should come true to less than number. Here, for example, I said if the first time that you go through that one, put that I can be anything. I just put I that that is for counter, can be count, couter, counter to 0. As though the counter I want to do it 4 times, as is less than 4, and every time I do it, I just put 1 to the counter, so it means one time it went through that one. And here I say right, that is a C, it means right, C-O-U-T means right, and that is the syntax for C plus number I. So here can be so many other code. For example, I can say that As far as the number is less than 4, ask the user, guess a number. I want to, user guess 4 times a word, and if that word is not right, go back again. And if he try 4 times and then he could not guess it, get out of the loop and say sorry, you could not make it. So it's not only for the number, so that is a loop that keep continue as many times if you put it here, and the condition. So the syntax for C++, but if I write the same for PHP, the PHP is that one. See here, the initialization is integer, means that this I is integer, and for C, the variable is start with $sign, and X is again variable, and I put it as a Z, and again here, this time I say is less than or equal 4, means that only go for me 3 times. When it becomes 4, it becomes, here become less than 4, so it means it doesn't go to the 4, but this one get one more and go to the 4, and when it's finished, it's going. Again, here's echo means right on the screen. So my point by saying that is the syntax for each language is different. For Ruby, I have for Ruby here. The Ruby is 4. There is no parentheses open, there are no parentheses closed. And then for I, initialization from 1 to 4. Here's the if I is from 1 to 4, do just again put here right I. In Pascal is different. Pascal has more, begin, and for A, we assign it number 1. This assignment is equal 1 to 4. Do begin again and write value of the A. So the syntax in each language is different, but all of them almost follow the same rules. Means 4 loops in all of the language there are, and that is something that you have to learn. You have that one. The syntax, it may, which for sure is different from one language to other language, but all of them, they have this, they call it branching. You select where you have to go, which direction the program to have to execute that. For example, if a statement here say that if the condition true here, as I said, all of them, they are following the same pattern except the syntax there. So when we write if, inside parentheses, they may not have the parentheses, but the condition. If the condition is true, open bracket, close bracket, and do all this code. For example, I put example here. I said if this score is greater than equal 90, grade A. So that means that that person has grade, the school grade is A, and else if, so it's going to give another condition. Else if another condition, see that if their score is less than, greater than 90 and greater than 80, between that one, we give them a grade B. Again, we have one else if the grade is again less than 80 and 65, then grade C. Else the last condition that's going to be give the grade a D for the person. I give you another example here. For example, here said that we put the balance in the bank, they call variable, balance in the bank is $100, and we say that if the balance, we want to purchase products, the purchase products is less or more, but we don't know, for example, and say that if balance is less than purchase, the purchase price is more, then we say to the user, no sufficient fund, then no sufficient fund. Else, your balance is total, so it tells, we are going to tell what's the total balance, what the balance that they had it, minus purchase price, so it gives them this amount of they purchased amount, and right now the purchase balance is that one. So the if condition there should be condition true. And then we have else if and else if and else. Let me hear again one more time before that. If statement, if the condition is true, execute 1, 2, 3, as many codes we have on that. We may have select, or based on that condition, few statements should be executed. So based on that one. And then we may have else statement. So we say that if the condition is true, execute. If it's not true, else, execute this one. Go. Now, we may have else if. See how that else is. So say that if the condition is true, do this statement. If the condition is not true, and else if we want to put another condition, if the condition again true here, do this one. Otherwise, else, do this one. That's the if else or if else statement that all the languages they have it, except the syntax is different. So it means that if you learn the if statement in one language, it's much more easier for you to follow the other languages, and almost all of them they follow. They are. The branches, they have another one they call switch or case statement. Switch is different based on that one. Switch is going, for example, here I give that. We have the operation, we have a variable we call operation, and on this variable we give them multiplication, minus, plus, and divide. And we want to based on based on the selection of the user of each case. If the user select plus, which is addition, we want to write the sign, or we want to do the execute anything. We want to add two numbers together. If there is the user select plus, here we add number 1, 2, 3, 10 numbers, and after we add this one, we break. Means that we get out of this loop or switch and go back. So as soon as we hit that number, so means that you have only one selection to select out of that one. For example, if you have an array of 10 people and you put all the name, and you want to make sure that only should be executed, this one, if that person exists. If the other person doesn't exist, it means that just go put a default and say, for example, this number or this sign has not been on that person. So the case statement is much more easier if we want out of 10 items or 1 item or 10, 5 items we selected, only one statement or fewer statement, that statement based on that condition be solved. Instruction for me until the specific condition that you set it be, is come to met, false or true, whatever that you selected based on that selection. So it does it until that condition that you give it to come to get to that point. For example, again, all the languages they have the same thing. We have for loop, which most languages they have to do that. They have expression 1, expression 2, expression 3. Expression 1 is the set of a start, and expression 2 is going to be compare or making sure that set of the instruction that you want to continue. So in this case, I say if it's I less than 50. So it's going to test that one. And then expression 3 is going to go, because it's looping, we have to add 1 extra to the number of the loops. So we reduce the number of the loops that's going to be done. So we have expression 1, expression 2, expression 3. Expression 1, we initialize it. Expression 2, we test it. And we expression 3, we are going to add increment 1 to that one. All of them are going to be same thing for all the languages. It's going to be that. No while loop. While loop is a condition. We do while, again, same one condition or few condition. I can have two condition on while loop. I can say if, for example, you make two condition. If means while the number is 5 and the number is less than 100, which doesn't make sense on this one, but or this number is, so do it. So the while loop is going to have the condition. As soon as that condition is true, is going to execute that one and then go back again to here. So based on this condition is continue to do that. So in here I will say that my I is less than 50 and equal 50. Then I increment of that one, print the number. So do as many number that you want to do it. So that while loop is keep continue until my number is less than and equal 5. We have one more, they call it do while loop. Here it is. Do while loop, it's in a while loop, they first check the condition is true. So it means they test the condition. In the do while loop, first they are going to execute without testing and then check this if the while is true. So on the do while, the statement execute and then the condition comes to true, then go back. For example, here it is, I have it. I say that I have 100 parking space, okay, and that is while loop that I'm going to say that. And I'm going to say, okay, I have 50 parking space, and for the first when I start, there's no car park here, and I want to write how many cars parked already, the first car here. So on the while loop, I'm going to test it. I'm going to do it here. I'm going to just do all this one, all this condition, write it. And when the car drive in, when it's drive in, I add 1 to number. So I start from 0 to become 1, all of them. Then I will tell them how many spaces available and how many car park. How many park car is parking space available minus how many car parked in. So that's going to be that. So that many space available. So I'm going to say do it until the space here is become 0. So it's going to execute all of this one until there is no space available. When the space becomes 0. So the loop type of this one, it keeps doing that one, the first one does it. But on the while, if I want to do it, it tests if there is any space available and do it. So that is repetition that we are going to. We have for loop, we have while loop, and we have do. One thing that you have to know is in all the language they have variable. Variable is a storage, a place that holds a value on your memory, or if it's a constant, they are going to do that. Or actually, not all of them is going to be on the memory, it can be on hard drive for database type. For example, if right now you write a program like imagine Facebook or every those type of database. You know, they ask your name, they ask all of the information that you have. Those are being inserted as a variable. Maybe that variable be list, maybe be type. I'm not going through that one because just only consider the variable is a storage that hold your information. Sometimes this variable actually is going to be for short period of time, sometimes go for long period of time. The variable is exchangeable. Okay. The one thing that in all of the programming language they do, again, they have different rules that you have to follow, but mostly all the variable that, is a name that probably should, put it as much close to what that variable does. For example, the account balance, you should put it as account balance, same name. You should not just write, you can put any name that you want to make it show, doesn't make any difference, but it's much more easier you or the next programmer follow it. The variable is usually they called camel case. Camel case, what does it mean? Means that, okay, for example, the bank account is B, capital letter, the rest, underscore account is again capital letter, and balance is capital letter. And one thing that you have to make sure in variable in almost all of the language, this bank account statement with this one is two different variable. This has a B lowercase, this has a uppercase. They are very case sensitive. So again, this bank account balance is different with that one because they don't have. So again, each each syntax they have, computer language, they have their own thing, but they have some reserve word. For example, for example, loop. Loop, you may loop it, but that cannot be a variable because that is for certain languages, that is a reserve word. So you have to make sure that you are not using the reserve for that one. Variable, as I said, is changeable, can be constant. For example, pi is a variable, that's a constant, you can put it. Of course, you can change it, but if you select one constant variable, which maybe some of the languages they don't use it, but certain languages they use it, depends on the data type of your variable. Okay. Let me go back. There's a type of all these things that we're, on the variable, we can have this type of data type. We can have a string. A string can be one character or can be more than one character. So one character or more than one character can be. Character is only single letter. Integer is a whole number from 0 to all the numbers that exist here. Especially, but you have to make sure that you cannot get, I think it's a word true value, some number that you can put it on your, depends of the how many bits of the, say, if you are 32 or 64, depends on that one. Floating is decimal form. It's something that has decimal. So floating is different than integer. And Boolean is false and true, or yes or no, or binary number. So there's all. Actually, array is one too, but array is different type that I can talk about that one in future. So that's variable. You have to make sure that variable, the variable, all of the languages are same, as you know that. So you have to know that. If you are using list or array, see here I have list here, which is or array is the name of the variable person, and each one with, again, the syntax of each language is different, so I just write it general. We are talking about right now. This is array, for example, general. It's not really so if I write it person, that is the first name, age, height, and each one which they call index. But the first one is start index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here is a 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 0, 1, 2, 3. So that is the index of 3 variable. One thing on the computer that we have it is they do this type of operation. They have this type of operation. The first one, we call it operator, and each one that we, for example, is 80 is operand and 2 is operand. So we have operator, what type of operation they do, and the example is going to be that. We have minus, which is subtract to a number. We have 18 is operand, plus is operation. Operand, the operation is that's going to 20. Then we have, again, we have subtract, and actually I missed both of them is changed. So we have subtract 2. Multiplication, we have 2 operand multiplied, and the operation is multiplication. We have division, that we have 18 divided by 2 is 9. They're probably that one that really, they call it modulo, and we have it as a percentage. We divide 17 by 2, but we keep the remainder 1. That's the only thing that's good for 1. And you probably are surprising why we need that number. See, for example, if I want to find out the odd and even number of certain amount, go to loop and find, I don't know, 100, 200, or 5,000 numbers, and I want to find what is the reminder of those numbers, if they have it or if they are 0. Okay, if they are 0, just let me know. So, because 17 modulo 2 is 8, right? And it becomes 16, the remainder is 1. So, the modulo that probably you are going to have. Then we have, again, 2, which is equal, not equal. We have greater or equal. We have greater. We have less than equal and less than. This is all operand that we have it. So those signs, not equal, great, whatever is inside of on the left side is great. Whatever is inside is great. Whatever is, again, inside of that, is greater. That is going to be that. Again, we have more, we have and, or we can use, depends again which languages. Some of them, they are going to use it and some of them, these 2 symbol, that's going to be called and here. So, in AND operator, if 2 conditions are right, the result be true. For example, if I say here, if 2 equal 3 and 4 equal 4, what is the reason? So that is false, because in the AND both of them should be right. So we check 2 conditions. If both condition is true, the result be true. But if one of the conditions is false here. But in OR that we have it, we can, depends on the language, again we can write it or 2 vertical. We say if 2 equal 3 or 4 equal 4. That is true, because one of them is true, one of them is false, but it's true. We need only, as far as one of them is true, we go. So this is the case that, is many times you are going to use it. So probably, in computer languages, you want to know that if the bank account is 0, but he has a credit line of 100, still let it to purchase. So they are both conditions. Or if the bank account is less than the purchase price, or the credit balance greater than or equal to purchase price, is okay, let it purchase. So that is the case that yours. And then we have reverse of the operand. So we are saying if these 2 not equal, 2 plus 3 is not equal, but we already negative that one. So when we say negative times negative become plus or positive. So in this case, we say if they are not equal, which they are not equal, and 4 and 4 equal, which they are equal, the answer. You may again encounter why we need this type of thing. It's in program language, you are encountering with that one, even for that case of, for example, if age of one person, if the age is not equal 18 and that parents' permission is allowed, just is okay, let it do. So it means that age is not 18, which that's true, but the parents, they let it to purchase the products it's going to be. So that is the most important thing that you have to learn. Then we come to data structure. Data structure actually is very important in computer language. We have array of that one, so we store the information in one variable. For example, on this one, we say one variable is American car, but I have the value of all of the car that exists, and I'm able to pick from that number. This one can be array, can be used for so many things too. But, only we need one variable. For example, if we have a person, and that person, all the person, they have same characteristic. We assumingly, if it's true, all of them may not be true, but every person has the first name, every person has the second name, and every person has an age, if it's alive, and every person probably maybe has ear or eyes, but certain thing we know it. Every person has age is alive, every person has first name and last name, and certain thing that every person has it. So that is person, we need only one variable that has hold all of this one, but we write it. We don't have to write three variables. So that is, and for accessing each one, we use it index. We call it, for example, American cars, and we open two brackets and we put 0, it gives me the Tesla. If I put 1, it gives me 4. So this is just only to get the information hardware. Then we have linked list. Is the same way that the array works. Only thing that they have each element they are linking to other one. For example, the first name is linked to the second, the age, and all of them they have a pointer, which point where that is going to go. Then we have hash, we have heap, we have a stack, we have queue. Difference between a stack and queue is very important. Stack, so for example, stack is like a plate that you put on top of each other. So when you put the plates on top of each other, when you want to take the plate off, you take the first one on the top. That means the last one that you put in, you take it out the first one. So you may need the information that you entered the last time, you take that one first. And they call last in, first out, they call it. But queue is different. Queue is, imagine that the airport side, the airline, they are coming. So the first, they call first in, first out. It may, of course, not all of time is working, but let me say that you want to buy a ticket from, I don't know, you are going to see a movie. So you are staying on the line, and what is going to happen? The first person that came in, they go to buy the ticket. So that's a queue is going to be that. How that information is going to be helpful for data structure? It's very helpful because you cannot access to the data that probably came the last one. So you have to access in the time that you need the data to access it later. That's going to be. And again, as I said, please, if you enjoyed the video, give us a thumbs up and encourage me to do more. Have a good day and enjoy your time. Bye.